All right, final in this one, Utah State suffers their first loss in Mountain West Conference play and fall to 15-2 on the season. Grand Canyon pulls off the upset, 84-74. Students still on the court enjoying this one. A storming of the crowd for Grand Canyon as they knock off previously ranked, 23rd ranked and 24th ranked Utah State. All right, so the Aggies have a little soul searching to do, and Grand Canyon deserves all the credit for coming up with a win tonight. However, Utah State certainly made it easy. Did not. I don't want to say they didn't put up a fight. Obviously, Utah State did, but there were just so many missed layups, early turnovers that were just out of sorts. Utah State just did not play their best game today, not by a mile, after playing so well in previous games. Utah State, again, kind of got down. When they got down early, they just couldn't come back and get over the hump. The Aggies trailed by as little as 2. Late in the, I want to say with about 8 minutes left to go, had a chance to tie or take the lead, never could. And after that, Grand Canyon was able to push that lead back up, and Utah State was just behind the 8 ball for the majority of the night, unable to come away with the stops they needed to get the win. Mason Falslev ends up with 25 points on the night tonight. Collins with 12, Elamine with 12, and Templin with 10. Those are your Aggies in double figures. Aggies with 43 rebounds tonight, including 22 offensive rebounds. But Grand Canyon able to keep those second chance points somewhat under control. As for Grand Canyon, it was the turnovers that Utah State committed in this game, and Grand Canyon was able to turn those to 11 points. Three-point shooting, a little bit of a difference in this game as well. Grand Canyon, not a good three-point shooting team. Coming in at just 29% from the three-point line. They shot 35%, including a big one from Shaw late. There was a difference in this game. Aggies only assisted on 10 out of their 25 made field goals. And as you'll hear Jerrod Calhoun say every time, if you're not assisting on your field goals, then essentially your offense isn't running particularly well. Today's post-game show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Brandon Jensen. Contact him at 435-752-4800. It's your future, time to protect it. We'll continue on with your post-game show. Aggies lose 84-74 right here on the Aggie Sports Network from Learfield.
Winter is the perfect time for venom testing. The Allergy Clinic will help you be prepared to enjoy the great outdoors this spring and summers. Located in the Three Peaks Medical Plaza in North Logan and Providence on Gateway Drive, the Allergy Clinic offers aggressive testing and treatment to life-threatening stings from honeybees, yellow jackets, white-faced hornets, yellow hornets, and wasps. Cache Valley Allergy is a full-time allergy clinic. Most insurance accepted. Call 753-7880. That's 753-7880 for allergy testing today.
If you're coming to Logan and want a real value near USU, this is it. Say Aggie 79 and stay at the Baum Motel for just $79 a night. Right in downtown Logan, you'll find clean, spacious rooms and the kind of friendly service that keeps people coming back. Free continental breakfast, free Wi-Fi, and seasonal outdoor pool, all without paying big city prices. $79 rooms with Aggie 79 at the Baum Motel. Call 435-752-5220. That's 752-5220 and lock it in today.
Over the past few years, strong and crazy weather patterns have battered various parts of the country. Northern Utah and southern Idaho are not immune from its share of wild weather. Be prepared for power outages with a Generac backup generator from Golden Spike Electric. They are your local source for Generac sales and service. Generac keeps you in control when bad weather strikes. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. When it comes to home care, it's important for you to know you do have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of home care services, remember Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Call for a free home safety evaluation, 787-1369, and visit primrosecare.com. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Utah State Aggie Sports is sponsored by Daryl's Appliance and beautiful downtown Benson on News Talk KVNU, the home of the Aggies.
This one, Utah State loses 84-74 to Grand Canyon. Let's pause 10 seconds for local stations to identify themselves. You're listening to Aggie Basketball from Learfield.
You're your station for the Aggies. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610 AM, and on Alexa, Google, online, or the app. The home for the Aggies.
This game, and normally we would hear from Jerrod Calhoun in the postgame. I'm assuming he will still do his press conference Zoom with the local media. However, because of where we're at here at the top of the upper bowl and the fact that it's across the court and there is still a massive amount of students there at the midcourt logo with the students swarming the crowd, we will be unable to hear from Jerrod Calhoun here in the postgame. So again, we'll try to get some comments posted somewhere along the line on his thoughts on this one, but you will not hear from Jerrod Calhoun here on your postgame show. 25 points from Mason Falslev tonight. MJ Collins with 12. Adlin
I'm just here
12,
so I
and
don't.
Carson Templin with 10. Those are your Aggies in double figures. You got 20 points from Moore and 20 points from Williams. They combined 12 of 21 from the field.
You were there, you watched the game, or you heard it all here on KVNU. So now it's your chance to give your thoughts and ask your questions about the action as KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
Just after 3 o'clock in Cache Valley, sitting at 39 degrees. Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker with you here on Aggie Call. Man,
oh, boy. I'm going to let you start today because I need to take some deep breaths for a couple minutes.
You know, I really thought about this and what I was going to say, so I have a prepared statement for everyone.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined. So y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
So, Stockton, a rough one there. A lot of missed opportunities for the Aggies. You could hand so many narratives that are going on right now. The officiating one, I imagine we'll get into it. 435-554-1175 for the text line. The phone line open at 435-753-5868. We're here for group therapy. And Stockton, not the way it was supposed to go. First, let's address the pink, purple, polka-dotted elephant in the room. When the beat writers for Boise State basketball say that wasn't goaltending and then pulls out the Ken Pom rank for the officials, Stockton, it was kind of evident today out there on the court. It was a real interesting called game.
I'm going to get my civility out of the way first because I feel like this is warranted to say. Aside from whoever's in charge of organizing the Grand Canyon student section, their fans did a great job today.
Oh,
they created a great environment.
That was awesome.
I'm very excited to return the favor in 6 weeks. That aside, because the fans aren't involved in the officiating, they didn't have anything to do with it. They showed up. They were energetic. Good for them. I respect that. And like I said in the pregame, I love seeing passion from another fan base in this conference because the two fan bases that we used to go head-to-head with have been MIA for the entire season. So it's good to have that kind of beef, and it's good to see that kind of support. Grand Canyon did a good job in terms of environment today. They shouldn't have won that basketball game. They shouldn't have. Utah State played bad on offense. Mason Falslev led this team in all three offensive statistical categories. He had 2 assists, 12 rebounds, and 25 points. Nobody else bothered to help him. The officiating was just absurdly bad. I've never seen so many easy textbook calls get thrown to the wayside by these officials every time Utah State got within a possession. That to me was the weirdest part about it, is Utah State would go on these runs, they'd get within a point or 2 or 3, and all of a sudden 2 goaltendings get missed, 2 travels get missed, a foul gets missed, Utah State gets whistled for breathing on a guy, Colby King takes an elbow to the forehead and gets nothing. I know myself well enough to know that I have a tendency to get on the officials. I know that about myself. It's something that at times I don't love, but today, in this game, I have never been more frustrated and appalled by an officiating crew in my entire life. Grand Canyon very well may have won this game based on merit alone because they outplayed Utah State in a lot of categories, but the officials never let us get this game underway. They never let us get this game underway. They never allowed Utah State to play physically. They did not enforce the same conditions for a foul on both sides of the floor, and I am just disgusted by Scott Brown and his crew.
Yeah, this coming from BJ Rains, the beat writer for Boise State, was asked to look at the KenPom ratings for this crew. Jose Carrion, 148th at KenPom. Scott Brown, 183. And if it couldn't even get in the worst, Michael Karzinski, not even in the top 200. So officiating, definitely the thing. There's a couple things to point out. 435-554-1175. Get it off your chest. We're going to just one thing point out, and then I think we'll take our first break. We got the text line blown up right now. We'll go ahead and get Jalen on and kind of run through some of these stuff as we work through this, because there are some things that this Aggie offense did stall down. The fact that freshman, one of those was a goaltend, but the fact that he had 5 blocks, we kept driving to the hoop and letting him do it. Like, it just, that's the right there. The one bad call, okay, you take that out. That's a 10-point swing there. Like, and there was also a couple of things in the beginning. Perryman and Adlin with very freshman mistakes. I think Adlin got tangled up with Kobe King, and it cost the turnover. Perryman had a turnover too that was very kind of a freshman thing there. But this is one of those games that you want to have. And it just goes to prove to me that all the talk about seeding, ranking, and everything really doesn't matter if you don't take care of business, because we can argue that, hey, Utah State should be an X seed or whatever, but come tournament time, this is a game the Aggies should have had. They were favored by 5.5 points. If the Aggies play their game, they win, but the Aggies couldn't really execute their game.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the people that were upset for whatever reason that we picked up a ranking before the Nevada game feel a little sting when that number drops away on Monday, because it will. We're not going to be ranked next week. Maybe a good showing against UNLV and a good week overall next week gets us back, and we're probably still going to be getting some votes at the bottom of the AP poll. But even with some chaos in the top 25 today, a lot of teams around Utah State losing as well, the Aggies are not going to be ranked on Monday, and this is because Utah State has to play exceptionally well to get national media attention, and then if they make one mistake like they did today, they're suddenly out of the picture for at least a month. So when Utah State's not getting national attention for the next 4 or 5 weeks, I hope you guys rethink this whole, rankings are bad thing, because they're not. They're the only way that Utah State can get genuine respect in this country. And today, boy, did they choke away that ranking.
It's going to be a hard thing is to climb back. Once you get there, you get there and you hold on to it, but then it can all kind of fall apart. We're going to do things a little bit backwards here on Aggie Call, because the guys didn't have Coach, and Jason just let me know Coach's postgame is in. It is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I can feel the heat.
He was very succinct about the officiating. He said in a very annoyed tone that he has 0 to say about the officiating. So we'll take it for him.
Yeah, I think what we should do, we're going to play that now. Then after that, we'll come back for a quick break. 435-554-1175. We're going to hear from Coach Calhoun. All your texts loaded up. Hear what Coach Calhoun has to say about the game right now here on Aggie Call. And Jalen Moore will join us after and get all your thoughts. Text line open. We'll stack them up. But I think first, since we didn't hear from Coach Calhoun postgame with Scotty, we should probably hear from the coach right now while it's fresh. So 435-554-1175. It's first group therapy of 2026 here on Aggie Call.
Well, Coach.
Hey, Coach, this is Jason Walker. Just tell us about the difficulty of playing in this environment and just kind of what went into taking that loss.
Obviously, very, very quick turnaround. I thought our defense really failed us, but offensively, they did a great job of playing physical on us. Trying to get off ball movement was really, really tough. I have to go back and look at the tape why we were unable to move offensively. But they played a great game.
Coach, this is Sean from the Herald Journal. Kind of tough to ever get a flow. There's a lot of fouls called on both teams, but just a lot of fouls.
I have zero comments about that. Not going to comment on that. Not going to say a single word.
Hey, Coach, this is Mark Green with the Utah Statesman. Your team a little bit at times has shown some volatility game to game, especially shooting. Only shot 36% from the floor tonight. Just what have you seen game to game that maybe goes into that, or that you've seen the shooting struggle at times?
Yeah, I mean, it's college basketball. You're not going to make every shot. They're not NBA players. So continue to get back in the gym and work at it. Passing leads to good shooting, so you got to pass the ball well.
You talk about Mason. He had a stretch in the first half. It just seemed like he really played his heart out again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, you've seen it over and over. He's one of the best players in the league. He competes. He's a warrior. And he's always going to play as hard as he can, whether it's home or away.
Hey, Coach Patrick Mayhorn from the Ag Ship. I want to ask about Evans. Dennis Evans, 14, coming off the bench. Hasn't played a ton, but obviously had a big impact on this game. How much did his size impact the offense and what he was able to do?
Yeah, I mean, they spent a lot of money on this roster, so their size is real. Their bigs are 6'11", 7 foot, really, really big. I really give Coach Bryce Drew and Jerry Colangelo and everything they got going here, give them a ton of credit. That's the biggest team we've faced all year. Their size, those guys aren't the best scorers, but they really, really do a tremendous job of walling up, crowding the floor. Just the size is a major factor, right? And I thought that wore on us tonight.
Carson Frost with the Utah Statesman. Coach, it seems like just in terms of your level of hustle and hunger, it was still there. You guys won every hustle stat tonight, whether it's, second chances. You guys took care of the ball as well as just, one team was executing well in the half court and the other wasn't. And that's kind of been a lingering issue as well. Just kind of talk about just the problems in executing when the game slows down.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they got positional size. I thought their guards were real size. So if you guys were here, you would be able to see that. They got length at every position. They take you out of things. And, they've got a massive team.
Coach, this is Jason Walker. Just what do you feel like wasn't going right in those last few minutes? You had a lot of chances to pull ahead there late, but just couldn't really get over the hump in any of the times you guys made runs.
Yeah, I mean, it really came down to one thing, guarding the basketball, So we'll have to look at some things. But I thought they beat us to the middle. They beat us to the paint. They got to the right or left shoulder, drove downhill, and just literally got to their spots, right? Basketball is about getting to your spots. I didn't think we guarded the ball at all. Was really concerned about the early start. And I don't know if that played into it or not. There's really no excuse not to build a triangle, build a wall against, a team that wants to put their head down and drive it. So obviously the game plan wasn't carried out. We do it together and we got to, get back, obviously take an off day tomorrow and we'll only have 1 day prep again. These are really just all mental days. There's not much practice and you got to go out and perform. You got to keep 15 guys engaged in the process of trying to win. It's hard when you lose and hard when you don't play well, but that's life, and you got to bounce back.
Coach Calhoun's post-game comments after the Aggies drop the first game in conference play to Grand Canyon. We'll be back with Jalen Moore and your thoughts as the text line's open, 435-554-1175 here on Aggie Call.
Spend less time at the post office. With Formax and Mint mailing systems from Les Olson IT, you can quickly, accurately, and easily process your outgoing mail and even save on postage. Fold your documents, stuff and seal your envelopes, print addresses, weigh and measure to apply proper postage, all with the click of a button. With multiple model options available, you're sure to find a Formax solution and Mint mailing device that perfectly fits your business needs.
Les Olson IT.
New news from the Riverwoods Conference Center. All-inclusive pricing is now available for every occasion. Imagine your dream wedding, your daughter's quinceañera, corporate retreats, family parties, business conferences, or expos. Whether you're searching for a small private area, a breathtaking outdoor reception by the river, or an event that accommodates up to 2,000 people, the Riverwoods Conference Center makes event planning effortless with its perfect combination of beauty, service, catering, and now all-inclusive pricing. Visit theriverwoods.com or call 750-5151 for more information today.
This is Garrett with Cash Valley Bank. Life has a way of moving quickly. Kids growing up, students starting fresh, and business owners taking bold new steps. At Cache Valley Bank, we're here for all of it. Whether you're opening your first account, growing your business, saving for the future, or planning what comes next, we're proud to be your trusted financial partner right here at home. Cache Valley Bank, real relationships, real solutions for every stage of life. Member FDIC.
Winter's rolling in, cold, snow, wind, but Mother Nature can't cancel us. At Top Shed, we build custom sheds year-round, right on site in northern Utah, southern Idaho, and Wyoming. Blizzards, freezing temperatures, doesn't matter. We don't shut down. We show up, we build. So if you need storage, workplace, or a backyard upgrade, don't wait for spring. Top Shed builds in any weather. Top Shed, making sheds great again. Call 435-760-7766 or visit topshedusa.com.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A few years ago, I saw this sign hanging in a gas station. It said price, quality, service. Pick 2 out of the 3. Now, it's funny, and I did laugh, but at My Mattress, we don't even want to do business unless we can do all 3. Price, quality, and service. We have a 90-day sleep guarantee, 90-day price guarantee, and we will answer the phone if you have a warranty concern. At My Mattress, we deliver, we have financing, we strive to be price, quality, and service every day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
More analysis of today's game and your chance to talk about it. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
Might need some Motley Crue, a little Dr. Feelgood to feel good this afternoon as the Aggies drop to Grand Canyon in Phoenix. Not what we expected. You heard Coach Calhoun. I am not going to say a single word about it when talking about the officiating. Joining us on the phone line right now, former Utah State Aggie, joins us for every pre- and post-game here on Aggie Call. Jalen Moore, give us your thoughts, my friend, on what you saw before we jump into the text line.
Yeah, I just saw I thought Grand Canyon just came out and played with more toughness, more energy, played harder than us in the first half. And I saw our guys trying to catch up, in the second half, and that's a hard thing to do in Division I basketball. I'll give Grand Canyon the credit, and it's unfortunate that they actually did that stuff with Mason's phone number because I thought the atmosphere was awesome. What you want to see in a college basketball game, it's up there, probably the second best place to play in the Mountain West Conference. Honestly, it looked awesome. Looked like an awesome atmosphere. Spectrum still won. That could be 2. And it's unfortunate that they did something like that because I got to give them credit. They looked awesome. The atmosphere is awesome. I think their players fueled themselves off of that atmosphere. I thought Mason came out ready to go, and a lot of guys didn't in the first half, and I think some guys started figuring out, hey, we got to match their toughness. We got to match their energy. We came out in the second half and looked good. We patrolled the paint in the second half. We didn't do that in the first half. But I think, honestly, we dug ourselves too deep of a hole, and we tried to come back out of it. And here's the thing, if you guys notice it too, and I think a lot of people watching the game did too, when you're as good as we are at Utah State and nationally ranked now and supposed to win the Mountain West Conference, you get a lot of guys on other teams that play with confidence, and they make some really hard shots. And I'll be honest, they stepped up and they made some shots where you're like, what is going on? But that's just how basketball goes. And when you're the team with the target on your back, you're going to get everybody's best shot. And we got that from Grand Canyon tonight, and they stepped up to the plate and they did what they were supposed to do. And we didn't, I think we played one half that was solid. First half wasn't. And I think we're kind of, after that, playing catch-up ball, and it was hard for us to do.
All right. Jalen's thoughts there. Getting to the text line, 435-554-1175. What you got, Stockton?
I'm just going to go ahead and knock this one out right away. 702 whatever says, I blame this loss 100% on Stockton Jukes. He was way overconfident pregame. We Aggies are humble, blue-collar, salt-of-the-earth type folks. Stop acting like an effing arrogant zoob. First of all, don't ever call me a cougar. Second of all, if I can't be confident in the 23rd ranked team in the country, the team that I cover, a team that I'm a student of, if I can't be confident in a team that's measurably better than their opponent in every way, that underplayed today, I don't want to do this anymore. So get mad at me all you want. I'm going to keep doing what I do. Thank you.
But also on the other say, if we Aggies are humble, blue-collar, salt-of-the-earth type, not really the one that's going to anonymously through a text kind of throw that out. So you know what? There is an expectation, a level of respect and decorum. If you want to do that, I get it. It might be tongue-in-cheek, but it really doesn't come across as that. So I'm just going to tell you right now, if you want to be a part of this, cool. I know if you don't, then don't text.
I'm happy to take the shots, man. If you want to blame me for that loss, you go well ahead, but I'm going to continue to be confident in this team. I don't want that to get confused.
There has to be a level of signs of life and intelligence that I allow through the gates on this. And if that's the signs of intelligence somebody's going to show, then you know what? Go listen to Boise State's post-game coverage and that stuff. But we're going to move on from that and go into this. So 4554. 5443 up next. Jalen here on KVNU. It's my first time texting into this. Let me know if this text makes it through or gets intercepted at the rim. Jalen, thoughts on a little bit of that goaltending issue? Did you see that?
Yeah, there was a few that I think probably could have been called, should have been called. But man, like I said, I was watching the game. Like, you got to give Grand Canyon credit. Like I like the Evans dude on their team. Like, I'm sitting here watching the game. Like, how is he only getting 4 minutes a game? He looked like one of the better big guys that we've seen in the Mountain West so far. I really like the big guy from Fresno State as well. But this guy's like different rim protector, different athlete. If I'm Grand Canyon, like, give this guy more minutes, especially after what he did this game. And we knew sometimes that could happen to us. Like, we have a few undersized bigs and stuff like that, and you get a guy out there who's actually athletic and can block shots and protect the rim, and I thought he did a good job of that. But I also think there were some calls, like you guys said, that the refs missed with goaltending. But like I said, I have to be realistic, and I got to give Grand Canyon the credit where it's due. And I thought for a guy that only played 4 minutes, for him to come out and do what he did and affect the whole game, I thought that was impressive for him, to be honest.
All right, Coach Moore, put on your coach hat and your whistle here. How do you defend against that? One of the frustrations for me, just watching as a fanatical fan in the conference room, and Jason Walker can definitely attest to me and Stockton get elevated in there. But how do you combat that? Because 6 blocks, 1, all right. 2, okay. 3, you start getting insanity when you're going into the paint with this guy. You got to adjust. What would you have done, or if anything differently, to kind of change that up?
Well, it's like you would want to almost play a guy that can stretch the floor consistently. And we've seen it from Carson, like we've seen him hit some threes. We know Gary Clark's not a huge three-point shooter. You want a guy like Tucker. Potentially you look at a guy like Tucker where it's like, hey, let's maybe play our little matchup zone on defense. We got to put you in at the 5 because we can't get to the rim with this guy, and he doesn't want to leave the paint. We need someone that can stretch the floor. Let me get someone out here that's going to play with some confidence and hit some threes for us. I think that's how you combat a guy like that. But also if your guards, your wings, you got to get in the lane and you got to play off 2. You got to play with hop steps. You got to play with jump stops. We got to use some shot fakes. And if that's even not going to draw him away from the rim, like I said, I think we had to get in there and play off 2 and maybe get him in the air, draw some fouls on him, and then other times be able to kick it out and have guys that shot in some threes. And I think we saw a little bit of that, but I think going forward, I think we're going to play teams like, I'll even throw like a New Mexico. I'll even throw a UNLV out there because we're going to play teams that have athletic big guys. We got to get guys that play off 2 and use some fakes around the rim and stuff like that. And I think if we do that, there's going to be different areas where we can expose a shot blocker like that and still be able to score at the rim. Or you got to get a guy like Elamine, a guy like a really good athlete. You got to attack him and really try to get him in foul trouble and maybe try to put him in the rim. I wanted to see Mason one time. I saw him, like, try to turn that over on him. Even if you miss the dunk and stuff, it brings a little bit of a fear into a shot blocker, but that they know that, hey, we're not just going to patrol the paint and there's going to be guys attacking me. So I think going forward, those are some of the things that we got to do offensively against guys that are athletes and can block shots.
435-554-1175. Go into the text line now here on KVNU. Still room for you as we're doing group therapy here on Aggie Call. 435-554-1175. Brought to you by DD Auto and Salvage. They can pick up, haul away your junk or metal. No job is too big. Call them at 787-1204. And West Motor Company. Drive into a new Jeep, Ram, or truck, or Chrysler. Call, click, or visit West Motor Company today.
Going to the first one on the text line. Looked like we had 0500 in here first. Love how Elamine played as well as Perriman. We need to do everything we can to keep those guys. It was a rough game by our team. We just couldn't close on their lead. Perriman, had an okay game. Not really. Adlin, though, hit some huge shots down the stretch, and him fouling out was unfortunate. It's a combination of multiple factors. But yeah, Adlin Elamine is a game changer for this Utah State program. We talked a lot about last week how having a stretch three that can move like he can shoot like he can, changes the dynamic of your offense. And Utah State lives and dies by the three. We unfortunately saw that today, but Adlin hit some big ones that kept this thing close down the stretch, and Grand Canyon was able to run away with it as we got later in the game.
We do have an update from one of the texts that came in. It was tongue-in-cheek, and I got it, and no, I won't relax. This is Sparta, and these are my guys. This is my team, so yeah, I'm going to stick up for them. But there is a level, so let us know with some emojis that you're joking, because I just want to let you guys know. We do get texts from Lobo fans. We do get texts from Boise State fans who, we've got to weed through because
you saw the Clark County area code. And
I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, you know what? I know, but yeah, these are my guys. I'm going to protect my guys all the time.
Yeah, we're a big family in here, so we're always going to dog on each other, but it's all in good fun. We really appreciate everyone listening, interacting, and even the tongue-in-cheek stuff. A little hard to convey over text, but yeah, we appreciate y'all.
9315, I don't know what to say. There are so many things in this game. Oh, my goodness. There you have it. You guys tell me. There's Jalen, I think something for me, like if I'm going to remove the officiating and remove the other thing, it's the Aggies getting in their own way. It's the turnover ratio to assists. Coach Calhoun mentioned in his post-game presser that, when the Aggies are at their best, they're passing the ball, making the next shot, making that next pass adds up to that next shot and to win. But today, only 10 assists to 7 turnovers for the Aggies. Not the recipe for some winning basketball.
Right, I agree. And I think some of it was obviously some missed shots that we usually make. That's obviously going to make your assist number go up. So it's not like we were shooting bad shots or had a bunch of bad looks. I think we had looks. We still have a pretty offensive night, and we still score 74 points, So you can't be super upset by the looks that we got, but I just think like you guys said, I think there was just different opportunities to maybe make some plays and just do some different things around shot blockers. And I think the biggest thing for me, what I saw when I watched the game is I just thought they out-toughed us. I thought their toughness was just better than us in the first half. I'll be honest, second half I saw us match it, saw Carson come in and play with an edge, saw Mason play with an edge the whole game. Elamine came in and played with the edge more in the second half. We got to see that. If you're going to be a nationally ranked team in the top 25, one of the best teams in the conference, you got to play 2 halves of tough basketball, showcasing why you were nationally ranked at that level. And I think today we only did it for a half, and Grand Canyon did it for 2. And it showed. I just thought, there were jump balls when they were throwing us to the ground and pushing us in the back. And were they maybe not getting called? Yeah, for sure. But it's hey, we got to match that energy. You got to match that toughness. And I didn't see that in the first half until the second half. And I think we matched that for 2 halves. It's a different game. I truly think that.
I also think one of the stats that stuck out to me, I saw this bouncing around quite a bit, 5 for 20 at the rim, finishing at or underneath the hoop. Really, really, really bad finishing. That's 30 points that you left on the floor from less than 4 feet away. How big of a change can that be in a game if you can't even hit your layups, Jalen?
Yeah, so big because you really don't get many easier shots than a layup or a free throw, and I just think we missed a lot of opportunities around the rim. And here's the thing is I think the guys fought, you know what I mean? I don't think they didn't show toughness or efficiency or anything like that or effort. They fought hard, they played hard. But like you guys said, it comes down to some of those little things like making layups not making open shots, not making free throws down the stretch. There were a few times where we gave up 3 or 4 offensive rebounds in a possession. And it's like, yeah, did we out-rebound them? Yes. But it's like, we're trying to come back in this basketball game. You can't give them 3 or 4 extra possessions to eventually get a foul call or score, And I think those are just kind of the things that hurt us tonight. And so I think those are areas that you can fix. But also, like you guys said, obviously around the rim, we were missing some. They were blocking some shots. That's just an area where I think we can get in there and play off too. Maybe you can't get all the way to the rim and you can shoot more floaters. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see if we do play some teams with more athletes and athletic big men. I think there's just got to be some adjustments made around the rim for sure.
I want to get you guys' thoughts on this too. Second half, Grand Canyon, 14 for 18 from the charity stripe. The Aggies 3 for 5. The kind of difference is a definite game changer. Yes or no, Jalen?
Yes, especially in one half. That's like I said, that's 18 free opportunities that they get to make points, and we only get 5. And I think it's hard because I know that Grand Canyon at times was being the aggressor. So like the refs were like, hey, they favor the aggressor a lot. And it's just, unfortunately, that's just a fact of the matter. And they were doing that, I think, at Grand Canyon, and they feel the atmosphere and they feel the home court advantage, all that kind of stuff. And the refs also feed into that. So I think that had some of it to do with the way the game was called too. But also to agree with you guys, like I think there were some opportunities and missed calls by the refs. But at the end of the day, does that affect the whole game? Not necessarily. I like to see us play 2 whole halves like we had in the past games, and you see the difference the way our team looks compared to how we kind of looked this game when we only played 1 half.
Talking to Jalen Moore, Stockton Jukes on Aggie Call. Little group therapy after the Aggies drop one to Grand Canyon. Cafe Sabor bringing you the text line. Next up, 6863. Can you explain the goaltending rule? Before the game, I thought I could. Now, I'm not quite sure. It's just one of those things. We talked about the officiating and the world on it and that stuff.
Here's the rule. It's a violation where a defensive player illegally interferes with a shot, usually by touching the ball on its downward flight, or if you touch the ball after it hits the rim or backboard with a chance to go in. So not only were there a couple goaltending misses, but a different way to say that rule for the team on offense is basket interference. There was a big putback on a missed 3-point shot that killed a Utah State run. That was basket interference that didn't get called. So that crew needs a refresher on the rule book after this one. Did it affect the entire outcome? No, because Utah State went 5 for 20 at the rim and shot one of their worst games of the season. But the officials undoubtedly took Utah State's comeback chances away from them as that game went on in a couple of those runs by killing them on some either missed calls or bad calls.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Coming back, we'll start machine gunning through the text line. Jalen Moore, Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker with you here on Aggie Call, 435-554-1175. Hey, it's J.D. here, and with the new year comes that familiar feeling of wanting a fresh start. We all make resolutions, eat better, be healthier, do better, but for some, the resolution that matters most is getting sober. That's why I want to tell you about Renaissance Ranch. They specialize in a faith-based, clinically proven addiction recovery. They know what it takes to break free for good. Call or visit renaissanceranch.net and make this the year that addiction no longer controls your story. Renaissance Ranch, hope, healing, and recovery.
Snow and black ice are here to stay for a while. If your tires aren't ready, neither is your vehicle. At Express Auto and Tire, they work with all vehicles and all tire sizes, making winter traction and safety their top priority. Name brand tires are always less at Express Tire. As a Point S Tire location, you're backed by a nationwide warranty. Get winter ready with no appointment needed. 3200 North Main.
Express Tire, tires for less.
Where tires and service come together.
You're on your way to work when that little light pops on. The one that says, hey, you need service. But who has time to sit in a waiting room? West Motor Ford will pick up your vehicle from home or work, service it, and bring it right back. Pickup and delivery are completely free within a 35-mile radius. That's anywhere from Malad to Montpelier, Hiram to Tremonton. Plus, get $25 off any repair over $250. Schedule your free pickup and delivery at westmotorford.com or call 208-852-3853.
Winter's here, and that old car sitting in the driveway isn't getting any warmer. Turn that frozen junker into cold hard cash with DD Auto and Salvage in Logan. It's never too cold, too wet, or too late to clean up and cash out. DD Auto and Salvage makes it quick and easy. They'll even pick it up for you. Get the most money possible for junk vehicles or scrap metal. Clear it out. Get the cash today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204. And let DD Auto and Salvage pay you today. DD Auto and Salvage. Cold cars turned into hot cash.
It's ski season, Cache Valley. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we mount bindings. If you need bindings mounted to your skis or snowboards, in most cases, we can do it in 48 hours or less. That's right, 48 hours or less. At the Sportsman, we can also tune, sharpen, wax, and repair your skis or board so they are ready for the season. Usually, we can get those done in 48 hours as well. For 73 years, we have been taking care of skis and boards only at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan, with tons of parking in the back.
Utah State Aggie broadcast is brought to you by Adams Wealth Advisors, your trusted financial team. Whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning, on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to Aggie Call, 435-554-1175. Get you into the text line from Scotty. Just sharing this, getting to talk to Coach Calhoun postgame. Calhoun said also, quote, his number was leaked out last night, received many descriptive and unfortunate calls and texts throughout the night, which kind of learning that is a misdemeanor in the state of Arizona. So that'll be interesting to see how that all works out with
legal
Grand Canyon.
action seems inevitable.
And they're, you got to say it. Mason's number was not only published by the official GCU student section, the Flyer pregame, but also released last night. Calhoun would also go on to say the phone issue had no bearing on the outcome of the game whatsoever. Grand Canyon played a better game and earned the win. Of course, what Coach is going to say, I think the other stuff crosses a line, and we'll let the administration handle that, and they should greatly handle that because, props to Grand Canyon. Great environment, awesome student section was on fire and lit, but if you're corrupt and you've got cancer at your core, that's it is what it is. The people who organize that, handing out Mason's number, I tell you what, there are going to be consequences for stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a right way to be a passionate fan, and there is a very wrong way to be a passionate fan. And granted, obviously, very few of the people cheering for Grand Canyon today were involved in that scenario, but every single person that was involved in that scenario is probably going to be holding their breath and keeping an eye on their phones, because legal action was not only threatened initially by Utah State last night, but at this point seems inevitable, because if your head coach's personal phone number and your star player's personal phone number are getting leaked on a road trip to an entire student base, and then they're putting that phone number in their imitation of the bowl sheet.
And that's also, to me, that is a thumbs up, because you as an administration at university, you defend that brand all the time.
I would very much hope that Grand Canyon's administration has at least something to say about the situation. I think that silence is the worst response from Grand Canyon here, because silence is just basically silent approval at this point. This is behavior that made its way into your organized student section on the paper that you printed out and distributed it into an entire several sections in the arena. As an administration, just from a PR baseline, you have to say something about this. If you don't, then you're silently acknowledging and allowing it to go forward.
And then, it could go to the fact that any person, I know you can use VPNs and all that stuff today, but let's just lay this out, and then we'll move to the text line. The intelligence that it takes to pull off a crime and get away with it is pretty exceptional and elite. The ability to pull off a crime and actually post the crime publicly in a endorsed newsletter to your student section,
and to have your beat writers bragging about it online,
and that student section endorsed by the university and everything. Yeah, it might have been a great game and everything, but I truly hope somebody has to enroll in Phoenix University next week from the student leadership there, because that's not the way to do it. And if you want to get dirty, you can. I mean, you can go all in on everything, but that's not in the sportsmanship of the game. So I really want to kind of put this to rest here soon.
Yeah, I think Mr. Greenwood said it best on X. Like, you got to give props to Grand Canyon student section for putting together that environment, but it does not need to come at the cost of dignity and your soul. You've got to respect the college athletes for what they are. You don't have to like them. You don't have to cheer for them, but you need to have some baseline of respect for them. You shouldn't touch them. You shouldn't taunt them. You shouldn't call their personal phone numbers, and you certainly shouldn't release that information to the public.
And I think we're going to have a special guest joining us here, Jalen. Jason Walker from the Full Court Press, Cache Valley Daily, doing some of his stuff. Thoughts? You guys were in the kind of the post, and you were on the Zoom call, Jason, with Coach Calhoun. Demeanor, how'd it go?
They didn't have video on there, so it was just audio. So I didn't get to see what
him?
Coach
Okay.
Calhoun looked like. It's just a quick audio. I was probably only about 6-7 minutes, maybe if that.
4.5. Yeah,
4.5,
he
was
was
that
in
it?
and out, and then no player, right?
Yeah, no player. I was sitting there waiting to see if they're going to have a player. It probably wouldn't have been much longer. We tend to go pretty easy on them after losses, but the SID was just like, all right, we're done. And I don't know whose directive that was. It probably came from the coaching staff, just wanting to get out of there, wanting to get over with. I think a lot of the coaches and players were upset. Did you play the audio?
We did. We played Coach's interview right after you texted me. We put it up because normally we played at the back end, but since we didn't hear from him post game with Scotty, decided to throw it out there earlier.
Yeah, the Coach Calhoun, who has typically, and I'll add this context, a lot of times throughout the season has given props to the referees when he thought they did a good job. Even if the fans weren't happy, he would usually kind of come to their defense, saying they've got a difficult job. He's not been one to go after the referees, but you could tell he was upset about it. Not that he went on a rant, but he cut off a question in the middle of, cutting Sean off to say, I'm not going to talk about it.
It's a guy that doesn't want to pick up a fine on his way out of the conference.
Yeah, so you could tell they were upset about it. They overall kept their cool about it, but clearly not happy about it. The players would have likely felt it even worse than the coaches, who tend to be a little more even-keeled. So, that's probably the biggest thing I'd pick up demeanor-wise from Calhoun.
And then, Jason, something that Scotty shared just a couple of minutes ago, Coach Calhoun's number also was leaked last night.
And that's not okay. Like, I'll say this. College kids are kind of stupid in a lot of cases, and they don't understand that actions have consequences. This is the kind of stunt that I could see, and I'll say this with qualification, like, this is the kind of stuff that the Herd might try, and I think it's happened before in other places. I don't think the Herd has ever done it, but I do know one person, I think, posted on social media saying they almost did it, but then somebody kind of took them in and said, hey, don't do this. It's the kind of thing that college kids will do because they think it's funny, because they think, it's for a laugh. They don't think ahead. It's like when the kid was like the son of one of the Atlanta Falcons coaches or whatnot.
We actually got a text about that in the pregame. That was a PR nightmare for my father for 3 straight days, and this is why I'm saying with Grand Canyon, there has to be a very serious, well-written, definitive statement from the administration that says this is not okay and it cannot be allowed to happen again.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that students do to try and be edgy, because students try to be edgy and they do dumb things. You see high schoolers who try and say edgy things that they don't realize the consequence of. Usually it's them saying some stupid racist thing. They're just trying to be edgy and they don't realize the consequences, because they're young and stupid. It's the lessons that we as adults have figured out, but that students need to learn. And unfortunately, in this case, they may have to learn it the hard way.
Because the quote is, many descriptive and unfortunate calls and text. You get to where some of those are profanity or even indecent, you're dealing with some laws there. Now, also realizing the level of the laws, this isn't serious consequence, but it's a precedent that something needs to be addressed, the head coach and everything else, because you could fight fire with fire, but I don't believe the Herd's going to do that. I don't think anybody's going to do that. I think you take the high road in this, but when they come to the spectrum, I think you welcome to hell. We say it as a joke. It needs to be.
Yeah, and I think that's something for the Aggies, is they need to ultimately put this behind them. All the crap that's happened, whether or not you're mad at the referees, mad at the student section for doing something that, I'll say this, it is not that bad to do this. Like, there are far worse things they could have done, but it is still unacceptable to a degree. Or, well, not to a degree, it just is unacceptable. But yeah, take the high road, put it behind you, show that you're the bigger person. You know, when Coach Calhoun says, I'm not going to talk about the referees, that's him being the bigger person. Put it behind you. If you're the herd, go out there and give them hell when they come to the Spectrum, but don't stoop to their level.
You get everything on their digital footprint. If it's on their digital footprint, it's fair game.
Yeah, like one of the things they posted on their little, basically bullshit ripoff was something about, there were actually a couple of good things they dug up. They were kind of, funny and wholesome fun, like wholesome ways to taunt somebody. They put some social media of people that these guys know, and like that kind of stuff is usually fair game. And taunt them about this random thing, or Drake Allen coaching a youth basketball team that wasn't too successful. Go ham. But there are lines that they were crossed there. But yeah, for the herd, be the better student section. Grand Canyon is desperately trying to be one of the best student section, and that zeal led them to cross the line. Don't follow them over it in your quest to prove that you are the better student section.
Keep in mind that you're not searching for some sort of validation from the outside world, because Grand Canyon, they're trying to get at Utah State. They're trying to get validated by Utah State because they recognize Utah State is the best student section in the country. That's why they've been coming after us so hard for a week. That's why they moved on immediately from the New Mexico game to focus on this game, because they want to compete with us. Understand, we not only do we not have to drop to their level, we don't have to change a thing about how we operate, because at baseline, the herd is better than the Havoc. It just is. There are more people. It's louder. It's a bigger arena. They have a better home record. Statistically, objectively, subjectively, it is a better home environment and a better student section. Do not stoop to the level. The worst I've ever seen the herd do is they dropped some dude's Snapchat handle because it was publicly available, and some students were Snapchatting him during the game. But other than that, like exactly what Jason said, the herd has done such a good job of maintaining a reputation and maintaining the way they look to the rest of the country. Do not ruin that because we're upset about what happened today. We'll be okay.
435-554-1175. Getting back to the text line, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to cover this on the Full Court Press coming up.
We'll talk about it.
I mean, I imagine if there's any fallout or anything happens for it, we'll find out about it in the next 48 hours, or so to speak, you think.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably Tuesday because it's a long weekend.
Oh, that's right. Up next, 0327. Jason, thanks for sitting in. If you want to sit in on the text, we got Jalen sitting here. Jalen, Jason Moore. It's nice to meet you. Or Jalen, Jason
Moore,
Jalen. Yeah. We got Jason, JD, and Jalen. What? I got to talk to your parents. Why? Stockton.
Well,
John.
Both my
John
siblings
Stockton.
have M names, so.
Well, we could just go John Stockton. We could call him that. Sure, the referees were bad, but ultimately perimeter defense was poor. Our offensive rebounding was atrocious. Lack of composure down the stretch revealed the panic threes and desperation. Jalen, I'm not sure about the panic and the desperation at the end. It kind of gets to that to crunch time, but I'm not sure if this is a knock on the Aggies' perimeter defense, because there were times where Mason, Colby, MJ, you name it, they were right there in the Loeb's face, and they were just knocking them down. Sometimes it just happens like that. Did you see it any different?
No, it's just the confidence is a crazy thing. And like I said, when you're the best team, you got a target on your back. You're going to get some guys that play just out of their head, and it's just what it is. And then watch, we'll probably look next game, and those guys that went off might have like 6 or 8 points. It's just basketball. Momentum, swings, confidence, building off of like your teammates and big plays. And I think that's what Grand Canyon did. Like they made a few shots towards the end of the shot clock when our guy, like we have hands in their face, and like they say, it's just good defense, better offense. Like there's nothing you can do about it. Like you couldn't get any more closer, or else we were fouling them, So, like I said, hats off to them. Like Grand Canyon played well, and like to go off of everything you guys said, like it's unfortunate that that's the situation that their fans stooped to, because the atmosphere was cool. Like it looked like it was fun. Looked like it would be somewhere where you'd want to go play and have a great atmosphere for home games or road games or whatever. So it's unfortunate, and give them props. They did what they were supposed to do, but I also think, some of the guys played better than they usually do, and that's just what happens when you're the better team and you're ranked nationally. It's just how it goes. And like we said, but the tell of a good team is like, what are we going to do to bounce back? And they got to do it quick because we play again on Tuesday. So I think that's the intriguing thing of being a top-tier team, is like you can't win every game, but it's like, how are you going to bounce back? Everybody remembers what we did after USF, so I'm intrigued to see what we're going to do after the Grand Canyon game.
435-554-1175 or the text line. Jason's got one last thing to add, and then he's going to be out of here. So what's going on?
Well, I think Jalen outlined a lot of the stuff that I kind of want to say where, to some degree, I'll put it this way, where this was kind of Grand Canyon Super Bowl. They were camping out for this game. This is their national championship. This is their NCAA tournament game. I know this team has aspirations of making the actual NCAA tournament. They've done that a lot recently, but this was their biggest game of the season. For Utah State, it was a regular season game. So to that degree, Grand Canyon stepped up for this game. But that's the kind of thing Utah State was going to get every single game. They're going to get every team's best. Every team's at-large bids hang on beating Utah State. Grand Canyon got that today. And the thing is as Jalen was outlining, Grand Canyon, they played good. Some of their guys played above what they normally do. You had guys that shot 30% on the season, and they shot like 40%, some of them did. Mekhi Williams especially. So Grand Canyon played arguably their best game of the season, or at least one of their best games of the season. Utah State, they played one of their worst games of the season. Second worst shooting percentage on the season. Most points given up all season by the Aggies. There's a 10-point loss on the road. Your worst, their best. You lost by 10 on the road. That's something that you can latch on to. Say, hey, look, this is as worse as it gets, or at least as worst as it's been all season. So at this point, bounce back. You don't have a whole lot of time to think about it. This is where you show that you're the better team over the course of the season. Is you're going to have those nights that are just a stinker. So get back to it, bounce back, and show that you're the better team over a full season, because that's what a regular season title means, is you're the better team over the course of a season, not just one random Saturday evening.
Well said, Jason. Thank you very much for stopping by and always getting us the post-game audio. I appreciate you, my friend, getting it for us.
That's why we keep this guy around. He calms us down.
Yeah.
Best of luck on the rest of the therapy session, though.
that, and he's Mama Walker's favorite walker. It's crazy. I have done everything to kind of bribe her and do everything, but Mama Walker's, Jason's my baby. So we're having fun here on Aggie Call, trying to work through the therapeutic afternoon. And up next on the text line, 8776, tough end there. The Aggies didn't make it any better for themselves. Officiating was bad for sure. I'm pretty sure if that officiating crew comes to Logan, nobody is going to be picking up the tab, maybe even charging things to their room if they do. But if you want to charge things to your room or stay in Logan and maybe tonight catch the game at the Spectrum, the ladies tipping off a little bit later, stay at the Bomb Motel, say Aggie 79 for that special rate, and you can stay right here in the heart of Logan. Beautiful weekend as the sunny skies and 40 degrees as we're working through Aggie Call here on KVNU. 435-554-1175. Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker, and Jalen Moore. Up next, 5452, tough loss. Aggie shot horribly, missed many layups and threes, but apparently goaltending is not a rule anymore. That's cool. I cannot wait to get home and turn it off on NBA 2K. It's going to be awesome. Offensive or defensive, massive home cooking, just ridiculous officiating. Church ball officiating is good. That's kind of the sentiment on the text line right now. Stockton 2444 up next.
Yep, 2444 says one of the Aggies' few weaknesses was exposed in this one, not having a reliable stretch five. Evans was able to camp out in the lane and no one can finish over him. I watched Grand Canyon get cooked by St. Louis earlier this season because SLU center Avila could consistently draw out the opposing big with his three-point shot, which opened up the lane for cutters and drivers. I fear that if we come up against a similar big man in the NCAA tournament, it could be trouble. I would have liked to have seen more small ball lineups with Elamine at the 5 to try something like that. Hopefully we can figure out some things for the rematch. I also think one of the biggest issues was for 40 minutes, Utah State didn't figure out they couldn't just drive head on to this guy and get over him. They should have adjusted 10 minutes into the game, and they just never did. They kept trying to go right over this guy down low, didn't move him, didn't get him in motion on the offensive sets, didn't get him out of position. No one really drew him out of his spot. He was able to just camp out down there and swat shots away, and we didn't adjust. It's just one of those games where Utah State, I think, was emotionally and mentally kind of flabbergasted by everything that was going on in the 12 hours leading up to this game. Played a stinker, had to deal with a tough crew that took away some chances at some runs for them, and then they just never really offensively got going. So it's a combination of a lot of weird factors that sometimes you get on the road, but even most times on the road you don't get stuff like this. You'll never get it at home. So it's just a weird afternoon for Utah State, and for sure, like Jason said, nowhere near the end of the season. Are we going to drop out of the top 25 on Monday? Yes.
Yeah.
Are we going to feel the sting of this one on social media for a little bit? Absolutely. Grand Canyon fans are very loud and passionate. That being said, we're going to be fine. I still, and I'm going to stand by this. I said this in the pregame. I'm going to stand by it even after what I just watched. Utah State is metrically the better basketball team, just on a different tier than Grand Canyon. They played their worst game of the season. We just heard it from Jason. Their worst offensive performance of the season. They left 30 points on the floor at the glass, at the rim, and still only lost that game by 10. Had to deal with a 7-0 foul disparity for the first 11 minutes of the second half. Still only lost that game by 10. Got it within 1 point multiple times. There's a lot of things that Utah State just executed poorly today where this is not going to be the norm for this team, I don't think.
Yeah, it's going to be, there's several sequences that worked out. This one was about 6-10 in the first half. Grand Canyon shooting a three, offensive rebound. Shooting a three, offensive rebound. Shooting a three, offensive rebound, foul. You know, the Aggies had 3 defensive stops, could not close it on the board. And that kind of thud adds up as you get going.
What's crazy is they out-rebounded 22-13 Grand Canyon on offense. Utah State had 22 offensive rebounds. Grand Canyon had 13. 13 second-chance points for Grand Canyon. You know how many Utah State had? 23. Still couldn't get it done because so many wasted possessions.
Let's take one more, and we'll take another break here on Aggie Call. So 5-6-6-2 up next. Every game is the other team's Super Bowl when the Aggies are on the schedule. Terrible officiating. Gloria, the lovely
Mountain West commissioner.
Have you seen what's that movie that's big that the villain's the Wicked Witch of the West, Mountain West? Okay. Anyways, how can one team be in the bonus, the other team has 0 fouls? It did happen against Nevada too. Remember, it was in the second half. We didn't have a foul on the Aggies in the Spectrum until about the under the 11-minute mark. I
think that's why people were so frustrated about it today, is because it's been all week.
Yeah, it's been kind of a deal. So it'll be interesting to see who the officiating crew is Tuesday night against UNLV. The Aggies could have played better, but due to a tight whistle, weren't really given the opportunity. I think if the Aggies change some things, and look, there are some opportunities, Jalen, that the offense stalled. I'm going to share with you what I saw, and you tell me if it's fact or cap, my friend. When this Aggie team moves, you got MJ and you got Mason, and they're just doing this like constant spin cycle of moving around, setting screens, and they find the open man, or it works to where they're able to hit somebody who's left open to cut to the basket. That offense thrives. When they set the pick and you've got Drake or you got Carson or you got one of the guys that moves down and all of a sudden they get swarmed, it seems like the offense just stalls. And we saw that a couple of times where they weren't, whether the set wasn't called, but there was a couple times where they would drive to the hoop and just get kind of stuck because the length of Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes the offense will just get stagnant, and it becomes, a little bit more difficult. That's where you need those one-on-one guys to be able to get.
Hi, I'm Emily Peters.
Towards the end of the, shot clock and stuff like that. And I thought we just kind of struggled. I really do think we just struggled with their length. And I truly think this is one of the most athletic and one of the biggest guys we played against in the conference so far. You even think like Colorado State's big guy got hurt. I don't think San Jose's played. You look at Fresno State, he had a big game against us too. So I think that's going to be a spot where when we play these athletic big guys, we have to match their toughness, even if we're undersized. Like you guys said, there might be times where we have to use a stretch 5 or do some different things like that so that our offense doesn't get stagnant, because when we're not finishing around the rim and, we're not being able to drive past our guys and get to the rim and finish, sometimes our offense is stagnant. So those are things that I think we're going to have to fix. But I also think there's other ways that we can score off of some driving kicks. And like I said, playing off 2 feet, using some shot fakes, all that kind of stuff. But so far this season, other than really the USF game that I kind of saw where they were very athletic and had guys with a lot of length, and then you see it in Grand Canyon too, we've kind of avoided teams like that and big guys like that until now. In the 2 games that we did play them, we have struggled. And I think going forward, we're obviously going to see it with San Diego State. They've got a 7-footer. UNLV is going to have some athletes. We know New Mexico is going to be athletic. Those are going to be games. We're going to play Grand Canyon again. Those are going to be games where we have to make these adjustments around the rim so that our offense doesn't get stagnant and we can still be efficient.
Talking to Jalen Moore here on KVNU Aggie Game Day. JD Walker hanging out with you. And still time to get in. 435-554-1175, 5430. Quick thoughts on this one, Jalen. Would love to hear your thoughts on Calhoun starting Keller. It has been kind of a magic lineup to get him some minutes in the end. And also with the big, your thoughts on Keller being in the starting lineup?
Yeah, it's fine. We've been winning. Don't change anything. We were winning games. And like you guys said, I don't think it's panic mode. It's not like we're 8-8 or something, or 15-2. And I think there's just other adjustments we can make. And he does good things for us. Usually he's great at offensive rebounding. But like we said, when our biggest guys are 6'9", 6'10", and they bring in some 7'2" guy with length and that's athletic, like you already got a disadvantage. And the only way to really beat those guys, you got to draw them out from the rim and do Keller and Carson and Gary Clark shoot the three-pointer at a high clip. Not necessarily are they capable, yes. But I think what you might see, like adjustments, like even like that one text that came through Elamine, you might even have to see a guy like Tucker. Like you might have to just see a smaller lineup where we have to draw these guys from the rim. And if they don't want to step away, guys like Elamine, Tucker, whoever, even Carson, like I said, Gary, guys like that, they're going to have to shoot the three ball with confidence and hurt them and draw those big guys away from the rim, and now we can attack again. So I think those are just the adjustments. I don't think, having Keller in the lineup or Carson, whatever it may be, would have affected this game. I just think it's adjustments that we have to make offensively to deal with teams' length and athleticism when we do play those teams.
Moving up to 4-3-8-7, Aggies battled a tough environment and a handful of missed calls tonight. Lack of finishing at the rim, missed front end of 1-and-1s, and the poor execution in the last 4 minutes was rough. I feel like if we converted the late turnover, Carson's bad pass to Mason after collecting the ball from Evans for points rather than giving it right back, it would have given us the momentum into the final stretch of the game. 100%. That was the turning point. And I want to talk about this briefly. I've got a lot of faith in Carson Templin. I always have. I've been saying for years, I feel like that kid plays 6 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier than he is. He was about as hot and cold in one game as I have ever seen one player. He had some monster offensive rebounds, some monster dunks, in between some really bad turnovers and some really bad takes. So that's another thing where Utah State, to me, was just unsettled for the entire game today, and it never felt like they were comfortable at any point.
Yeah, and I honestly agree with that, too. And that was a big turning point of the game. And it's hard to say because you look at a guy like Carson, he's our 5 at that moment. Like, he gets a big steal. Like, there's so much going through his mind, and I know it is when you play, that's just something that can change the game. And for a split second, you see Mason thinking he's open. Forget about the guy that just threw the inbound pass. You know what I mean? Like, because everything's happening so fast. The guy on Grand Canyon also makes a great read. But I do think that's the turning point. I think that was one of them. The other biggest one, like you guys said, I think was the offensive interference. I believe the score was like 62-60. They shoot a 3, miss it, they tip it in, 64-60. Like, that's a huge momentum swing when I clearly think it's offensive interference. That gives us a chance to either go down and tie the game or go up by 1. So I think those two possibilities of the game changed it a lot. Does it only come down to those two? Obviously not, but those are like the two momentum things that stand out in my mind that I saw where I think it just kind of shifted the game. But like I said, there's a lot obviously going on with a guy like Carson. There's a lot going through his head, and there's a lot where, hey, there's a time crunch. I'm trying to make something big happen really quick. We can get back in our press. And like you said, you just don't read the defense and you forget about the inbound passer, and he makes a great play too.
There's an important thing that I think you mentioned in there about the offensive basket interference that popped up multiple times in this game, and this is why I feel like so many people are very upset and very critical of the officiating today, because it wasn't just consistently throughout the game, right? It felt like every time Utah State got within a possession, had a chance to take the lead, had a chance to swing momentum, there was a weird call that swung the point total 4 or 5 points in Grand Canyon's direction, and that to me is where you have to start really looking at the officials and saying this is crazy work. But anyway, that's all I've got to say on the officials today. I think I might have an aneurysm if we keep talking about it. So moving up to 5-8-2-2, 7-0 foul count is crazy for the Aggies. Yeah, it took them 11 minutes to call a foul in Grand Canyon in the second half. You're going to tell me that the team that concedes the free throws, their rate of free throw concession is 243rd in the country, and you want me to believe they played 11 minutes of perfect basketball. I just don't believe that. I don't. 92-27. The template turnover after solely inbounds was a microcosm of the game. Yes, we just talked about that. Do something good, do something bad. Just no room for that when the other team is playing amazing and officiating is trash. Don't tell other fans how to fan. Hilarious. Scotty G also just tweeted Calhoun had his phone number get out last night. Lots of calls, texts. Yeah, we talked about that as well. Hopefully Grand Canyon has the wherewithal to address that as an institution.
And I think fully it's going to be something that's covered that Eric and Jason will cover on the Full Court Press over on our sister station, 106.9 The Fan. Like Jason was saying, probably not on Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So probably Tuesday, something will be addressed. Hopefully by the time they get on the air at 4 o'clock, they'll have more details on that. But just an unfortunate situation all the way around. Up next, I think, is it 9844 there?
Yeah, he texted in a little bit ago about the missed layups, the missed bunnies right at the rim. We talked about that right as that text came in. But yeah, 5 for 20 at the rim for Utah State. That's 30 points they left on the floor from within 5 feet of the hoop.
9-3-11-11. I think we've got a disappointing game all the way. Havoc definitely brought it. I will say that a great experience. Looking at what they did, props to them. Handing out Mason's numbers, crazy unacceptable. I'd like to get your opinion on GCU taking shots at the herd, camping out. Very different when it's 60. Look, if you live down there in Phoenix, look, there's not much. It's pretty ugly. And you have to worry about a sandstorm enveloping your city a couple of times during the summer. It's insanely hot outside. To find any bottle of water to hike to, you risk your life. I would rather lose in Phoenix and live in Logan? Is that the phrase that we use for our friends in Laradice?
It was, I would rather, what is it? I would rather...
I think lose in Laramie than live in...
It's something like that. But the essence of it is who would want to live in Laramie, Wyoming. That's how I feel about Arizona.
And so, the herd camped out. It was like in the teens and bitter cold here. Like they were able to play Jimmy Buffett songs and sing Margarita. I can't even talk. I'm smoked.
We're angry.
Yeah. Up next, they did a great thing. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody here is really going to remember how awesome that crowd energy and everything. We're going to remember how they kind of crossed the line and violated sportsmanship and just the rules of it. And I know it's kids and everything, but that's going to be the over thing.
Well, and the thing they were clinging to on social media is, we camp out better for basketball than Utah State. And so a lot of us were trying to explain to them on social media, well, you understand that if we camp out before the Grand Canyon basketball game on February 28th, someone might die, right? Like, it is apples to quantum physics they're trying to compare here. So, good for them. I thought they had a good environment, but numbers-wise, home court advantage-wise, they just don't come close to the herd.
Up next, Jalen Moore, Stockton Jukes. Got about 5 or 6 texts left here before we get on out the door here on Aggie Call. If you want to get a couple last-minute comments in, 435-554-1175. Made the trip to Phoenix. Disappointing game. The student section is second best in the conference, but they needed 30-plus cheerleaders and other student body cheer managers to get there. Hey, they've only been playing with the big boys a couple of years. The Pitt, Viejas are still better. Also, when the student section rushed the court, the students were mixed with the players. Got to fix that before there's a fire extinguisher incident. Hey,
take notes, Wolfpack. You can get off the floor with a couple bumps and not destroy property.
Well, that and the fact, too, like somebody mentioned earlier, if it's your Super Bowl, that's a thing. Like, Grand Canyon's going to have to win the Mountain West Conference to go dancing. So, like, this could be the highlight of their season unless they win the Mountain West Conference.
I'm actually going to defend the court storming here. I think anytime you take down a ranked team on your home floor, it's justified to storm the court, so I'm about it.
Okay. I just think, like, 23, like, it's...
Sure. Was there weird things that made that game a little easier for them? Absolutely, but you beat a ranked team on your home floor when you were 6-point dogs, I think. So and you took down the number 1 team in the conference too. Utah State's now the number 2 team in the Mountain West until New Mexico has something to say about it tonight. So good for them. But yeah, definitely their Super Bowl, and they sure acted like it. Hopefully they still have some energy in 6 weeks.
Up next, 9764. I think the people are getting way too worked up over the phone number leaking issue. The herd is fantastic. They instigate, and they come up with all sorts of stuff and find dirt on the player's past. Let's not act like we don't cross the line with things.
We don't.
True. We can find anything in a digital footprint, yes, but sharing a private phone number of a coach and a player, and Coach Calhoun didn't come out and say, but if there's inappropriate things, you got to realize violates the law. And just when you add that to the fandom, like, it's out of the spirit of competitive nature and everything. It's outside the line. Because if I'm getting worked up about it because I'm only imagining what was said, because I can only think about what 18 to 22-year-olds in the Phoenix area on a Friday night are texting to Coach Calhoun and Mason.
The other thing, too, that I think a lot of people are not putting together with this scenario is if you have the personal verified phone number of someone with a lot of money in their bank account, that's a huge security issue. There is a large financial security issue involved in this. So it's not just, they sent some mean text to the players. It's, they put this kid's livelihood in jeopardy.
But look, if the text crossed the line of if it's indecent, immoral, like there's legal ramifications to that stuff. So it's there. We do. What else we got here coming up next on the text line? We're going to be able to spend all year on this, and we're going to just keep moving on. 0783, we have our decades-old incidents with UNLV water bomb that people still talk about. Maybe giving out phone numbers. We'll give Grand Canyon's water bomb to something to talk about for decades.
Do you know this story?
Yeah, I know that one. But here's the thing. We're not messing with Grand Canyon.
We sprayed a little water on some opponents' players. We didn't jeopardize an opponent's safety while they were on the road.
Yeah, but the Grand Canyon, if they want this as their water bomb thing, that's great. I don't know the next time we're going to play them outside of this year in conference, because next year, they probably will be. They'll still have to deal with the pits and the Lobos and stuff, but they're going to have a pretty competitive. But I don't know how many times back and forth like that. The water bottle incident or water bomb incident is going to be retired too, because UNLV is going to go play with Grand Canyon in the Kitty Sandbox. A couple more texts before we get on out of here. This one, Jalen, I'm going to hand off to you. 8070. We severely miss MJ in this game. Wasn't his usual game. Other than that, I want to be at GCU and their lack of tact. Thoughts on that text that just came in?
Yeah, like I've told you guys too, and people that listen, like that's the hardest thing about being a 20-point per game scorer and leading scorer in the Mountain West. Like everybody's going to prepare for you, and you could see the way that Nevada and Grand Canyon had guarded MJ Collins. Like it's almost like full deny, don't let him get any good looks. Like everything that he shot and made today was almost contested. Like they did a good job on him. And his shots that he made, most of them were very hard shots. He hit that three towards the end that was pretty open, and maybe like a step back where he created some good space and was able to knock it in. But other than that, like very contested shots, nothing coming easy for him. And the more that teams play us, or the more games that we play, the more film comes out, the more coaches get to see like, hey, we can try different defensive schemes on him. In the last two games, like Nevada and Grand Canyon had done a pretty good job on him. Like luckily, like we said, we have almost like a two-headed monster where Mason can take over those games too, and so can MJ. So I think Mason's kind of showcased what he's about the last two games. And MJ, like I said, he's a human. There's going to be ebbs and flows of a season. There's going to be games where he scores 40 and games where he scores 12, and it's just that's what makes basketball so great. Is like the best thing about it. We got beat today. MJ maybe didn't play that great. Mason's playing at a high level right now. We're coming off a loss. We're not going to be ranked. You got 2 days to prepare for a UNLV team that's going to come into the Spectrum on Tuesday. What are we going to get? Like what kind of team are we going to see? What kind of MJ are we going to see? What Mason are we going to see? And that's why I love basketball, because it happens so quick that you have to forget about this. You learn from it, you move on from it, and you got to go out and you got to perform again on Tuesday. And I think that we're going to see a big game from MJ and Mason, because I just think that's the kind of players and the guys that we have on our team. So I'm excited to see what Tuesday brings.
Me too. The Rebels coming into town, 9-3-1-5 up next. What game was that in the NCAA tournament? Jalen and Stocks, I'm going to have to lean on you guys for this one. What game was it in the NCAA tournament? We did horrible because of a big man that was like that just then. Zach, Purdue?
It was so we beat TCU in the first round, and because of where we were seated, we ended up playing number 1 seed Purdue in the next game. Zach Edey dominated this team.
If there was ever a player that looked like a Monstar from Space Jam, it would be Zach Edey.
Yeah, and this is, unfortunately, we thought that maybe we had a little bit of a solution to this problem this year. It's not as much of a solution as we thought. Playing big man by committee, all three of our big men looked bad tonight. Just flat out bad. They didn't have a good game. I think the only person that you could argue had a good game is Mason Falslev. Everyone else, bad. Gary Clark was the only guy in the plus minus with a +1, but that's because he only played for 5 minutes. So it's just, yeah, size is our biggest issue. We thought that we had solved that with a couple transfers this year. They haven't really panned out to the full potential that we expected. Is there time for that to change? Absolutely. But Utah State's going to have to make some adjustments on the offensive end of the floor because teams have figured out they don't have the size to compete with their defense down low, and they're also not going to sell the fouls that everyone else in the conference is going to sell. So you can get away with some contact. You can get away with some bump and run defense down low, and that's how you beat Utah State, and Grand Canyon did it tonight.
Text line still open for a couple more minutes, 435-554-1175. Last couple of texts getting in here. 8968 Aggie Nation. Please remember these guys have to come to the Spectrum. Yes, it'll be a very cold, warm welcome. If Aggie fans don't come out real force and show who has the best home court in the Mountain West, shame on us. You will be able to get Richter scale readings from the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum when they come back into town. It also seems that MJ was in a bit of a slump. Jalen, I'm going to ask you about that. I just saw today that separation that he usually gets wasn't quite there. Props to Grand Canyon for staying close to him, but just games like this kind of happen.
Yeah, for sure. It just happens. You see it in the NBA, you see it in college. But, it's like when those guys are averaging 24 in college and stuff and they consistently are doing it, like those just elite, it shows you how good some of the top players are in the NBA and like in college, just to consistently be prepared for night after night and know what you're capable of doing or know your go-to move and you still can't guard them. Like that's when those guys are just so elite. And I think MJ's just a little bit like right under that, but he does so many good things, and he can score at all three levels. And like I said, he's a human. He's a human. There's gonna be games where he just can't make a shot. I was the same way, like you go off for 20, the next game you have 8, and it's just like. But then after that, like the consistency is gonna be there the rest of the season probably. Like it's just a long season, could be anything. And so I think he bounces back next week, and I truly think we're gonna see him on Tuesday look completely different. And at him as a player, he's got to also prepare for different defensive schemes, know what teams are going to throw at him, know that they're not going to give him his space. What can he do to be one step ahead offensively of what the defense is going to do to him too? That's what great scorers do. They'll find a way to score the ball still, even though when they're guarded completely different every game, And I think the more that happens to him, this is the first time that this has also happened to him in his career. Like keep that in mind. Like he hasn't been that go-to best player on these other programs he was in until now. So he's also making adjustments at the time, too, knowing that he's this guy that can score 20 points per game any given night. He also has to make adjustments to find out what he needs to do every night, too, to be efficient that way. And I think he's still learning, too. And the more that he plays, obviously, the better that he's going to get. And so I think we're going to see some adjustments from him, see different ways of him scoring next week. Honestly, I think he had a down week for MJ Collins this week, and I think next week we see potentially the Mountain West Player of the Year come out again.
Talking to Jalen Moore here on KVNU. Aggie Game Day, the last little bit of this, 8-9-6-8. And then I think we got one more that's just a light question, but I'm somewhat concerned with the way things are shaping up. This is about the same time last year the Aggies started to tank. I hope history isn't a repeat. Jalen, I'll start with you and then I'll go to Stockton.
No, we're fine. I think we win again on Tuesday. I don't know. We're 2 losses, 15-2. We're fine. I think Grand Canyon really was the best, physically athletic and lengthy team that we played. I think we're going to make the adjustments we need to when we play the teams. I think UNLV is going to give us another look at guys that are athletic and lanky on Tuesday. So I think I want to see how quickly we make those adjustments. I think San Diego State's going to give us those looks. New Mexico will give us those looks. I think most of the other teams we should beat. So I honestly am not super worried. I think we went to a hard environment. There's a lot of things that happened on the back end that a lot of us, don't even know what happened. So there could have been a lot going on. I'm not too worried for the team. I think we'll be fine, and I honestly think we bounce back with a win on Tuesday.
I also want to just kind of remind people what we were talking about a couple weeks ago is when we started conference play, you understand that in the Mountain West, you're probably going to lose 4 or 5 games a year as a contender.
What? We're going to go undefeated all the time. 72 Dolphins.
Unfortunately, that door has already closed for Utah State.
Oh.
And I think it's worth noting, too, that Grand Canyon is one of the better road opponents in the conference. So of all the games that we have left, there's 7 weeks left in the regular season after today. We've got 14 games or so by that math. And then we've got the Memphis game on Valentine's Day, too, that's not going to be in conference. But assume 13 games left in the Mountain West. And so we're now one down. What are we, 6-1 in conference? 6-1. And you're probably going to lose a couple more games on the road, and we're going to be fine for it. Road losses are going to count against you way less. Metrically, I tweeted this out about an hour ago, but Utah State only dropped 3 spots in KenPom today, from 22 to 25. Grand Canyon jumped 6 spots from somewhere down in the 90s up to 88. So 94 to 88, that's what it was. So it's it's a tough one because we like to win basketball games. I think everyone likes to win. It just feels better to win. But in the grand scheme of things, this is what I like to call an affordable loss. This is one that you can't afford. It's one of those losses that you planned on. You didn't know exactly where it was going to come or when it was going to come. But this is one of those 4 that you can afford to give away in the conference. When we get back home on Tuesday night against UNLV, that's a game you can't afford to lose against a team that's 500 on your home floor. You have to win that game. And I have a feeling UNLV is in for a bad night on Tuesday because our team's going to be all fired up about what happened today. Our fans are going to be all fired up about what happened today. And it's a 9 o'clock tip-off, so the students are going to be real rowdy. We're going to be okay. We're probably going to lose a couple more games like this on the road. I would assume at New Mexico, at San Diego State are going to be very similar to this game in terms of what the environment's like and mentally what this team has to overcome. So don't throw the whole season away on this. When we drop out of the rankings on Monday, understand that there's a very clear path to get back into the top 25 as well. Everything is going to be okay. Does it sting? Yes. Are there some people that are wishing that they hadn't been so active on social media this week? Me? Yes, absolutely. That being said, we're going to be okay because you plan on stuff like this. Conference is rough. Very few people get through conference play unscathed, and we got a bounce-back opportunity in 72 hours.
Last text of the night, 9227 here on Aggie Calls. So who do we want tonight? UNM to win. They're taking on San Diego State. I hate rooting for them. I'm going to answer first. I know I've done enough radio with Eric. I know for the good of the conference, but I just can't. So tonight I will be hoping for the concessions to win against San Diego State in New Mexico. Maybe the student section to win. Maybe the officials. Maybe I'll root for the officiating
team. The
team.
Students at Viejas aren't going to show up much. They don't do that anymore. But, just for standing's sake, we need New Mexico to pull this one off tonight. New Mexico's 5-1, half a game behind us in conference play. San Diego State is 6-0, half a game ahead of us in conference play. A win for New Mexico means there's a 3-way tie at the top. A win for San Diego State means that they are 7-0 and a full game ahead of both Utah State and a game and a half ahead of New Mexico, or 2 games ahead of New Mexico at that point. So if New Mexico loses, Utah State's in a pretty firm second place, and they've got a game cushion on New Mexico. But if New Mexico can win tonight, there's a 3-way tie for first, and things can get real interesting down the stretch. So back of my head, I think I want New Mexico to win tonight.
All right, Jalen, do you root for the Lobos or anybody else tonight, or how do you see it?
Man, I mean, like you said, it's hard to. It really is. I think it's going to be a good game. I like to watch good basketball, so I'm hoping it's a fun, entertaining game to see. But honestly, I don't think us as Utah State can really go wrong with whatever happens, because we haven't played either team yet, So whatever happens, I think gives us a great opportunity to beat a team that's going to be a top-tier team come the time that we play them. So I'm excited. Like I said, I want to see good basketball. But I think New Mexico, San Diego State, San Diego State played a really tough non-conference schedule. I think people were talking down on them, talking about they're not the same team, but they played really good competition. I think San Diego State gets it done tonight, and I honestly think they're our biggest competition in the Mountain West. But I do think we either split with them or go 2-0 against San Diego State, just because I think we're a different team this year. I think we beat New Mexico and San Diego State when they both come to the Spectrum, but I think San Diego State gets it done tonight over New Mexico.
All right, Jalen, where can we find you for training here in Cache Valley?
Yeah, the best spot would be on my website, which is nextlevel435.com. That'll have everything we do from training to our teams, has contact information, all that other stuff. Or if you want to reach me just directly through email, it's nextlevelbasketball435@gmail.com. And like I said, the website was nextlevel435.com, and that'll have everything from contact information, everything on there as well. So
All right, Jalen, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday night.
Yep, sounds great. Appreciate you guys.
All right, Jalen Moore joins us every pre- and post-game here on KVNU. Stockton Juice, some final thoughts before we get on out of here.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and run through the Mountain West standings because we've been talking about it just in case you aren't aware. Here's your top 6 right now. Here's your real kind of threats for Utah State at the moment. San Diego State, 12-4 overall, 6-0 in conference. Utah State, 15-2 overall, 6-1 in conference, half a game behind San Diego State as it stands. New Mexico, 5-1, 14-3 overall, half a game behind Utah State as it stands. Nevada, 5-2, a full game behind Utah State, 13-5 overall. That win head-to-head against Nevada is going to help increase that cushion a little bit, so you can really think of it as Utah State's about a game and a half ahead of Nevada right now until Nevada can get that split back in Reno if they can. Grand Canyon is now 11-6 overall, 4-2 in conference. They're a game and a half behind Utah State, but they've got that head-to-head win, so right now it's probably only a game behind the Aggies until the Aggies can get their get-back in 6 weeks. And UNLV, 3-2 in conference, 8-8 overall. They'll be in the Spectrum Tuesday night at 9 p.m. is the tip-off for that one. It's going to be a late night, but it's going to be a rowdy night, like I said, and I think Utah State's got a good chance to get back on some strong footing at home. Looking forward for the Aggies as well. We've got UNLV on Tuesday. That's going to be, like I said, 9 p.m. That's on Fox Sports 1 as well. And then is that Friday night, 8 p.m. on the 23rd at Colorado State on Fox Sports 1. So a late week coming up for us before Utah State has a 2-game homestand, Wyoming and San Diego State. Next couple weeks, really, for Utah State, this is when we're going to find out what this team is made of. UNLV at Colorado State, home against Wyoming, home against San Diego State, at New Mexico, at Wyoming. That 6-game stretch is going to tell us, I think, everything we need to know about where Utah State stands as a true contender.
And I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us here on Aggie Call. We heard from Coach Calhoun at the beginning of Aggie Call, and no player, as Jason was talking about. Several storylines to follow throughout the week. How will the Aggies bounce back as the Rebels come back in town? Looking at the Mountain West scoreboard real quick, the Rebels actually up with 9 minutes left in the game, 59-54 over San Jose State. Rebels handing it in the first half, but it looks like San Jose State marching back. Nevada took care of Air Force. If you didn't hear, Air Force's coach suspended indefinitely, an assistant taking over. There's some issues with the way he treated student cadets. More on that. And, of course, the numbers getting out for Coach Calhoun and Mason. That'll be covered on the Full Court Press on our sister station, 106.9 The Fan. They will be in at 4 to 6. Not sure about on Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday, but definitely on Tuesday. And they'll have all the info for that.
Just got one thing I want to sprinkle in here before we get out of here. Utah State upset the number 23 team in the country in the Spectrum today, but it was the gymnastics team. They beat Southern Utah, the number 23 ranked team right now, by 0.15 on their home floor. A really big win for Utah State, and they're scoring high to start the season.
And still some time to get up to the Spectrum to see Coach Brooks and the Lady Aggies handle business as they are going to be tipping off, I believe it's 7 o'clock tonight, up there at the Spectrum. For Stockton Jukes, Jalen Moore, I'm J.D. Walker. Not the way we wanted it to end tonight, but the A is blue. Thanks to the gymnastics team. Have a great Saturday night, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday for Aggie Call.